Are you working hard for your company right now? Are you getting paid fairly for it? You shouldn't. According to Marx, you have every right to a large portion of the profits that you generate because, according to him, what you are producing is not only your employer's property, but yours too. So who actually owns the things we produce? This is the big question in today's philosophy. According to Marx, when you work for your company, you don't just produce their product, you also produce capital. Every worker produces more value than they are paid. In other words, they generate a surplus. For example, if you work for 10 hours, you might produce 100 units of value, but you'll only get paid for 80% of those units. Where does the other 20 go? It goes to your employer. Why should they get an extra 20 for free? Well, according to Marx, this happens because of the way our economic system is set up. In our current economic system, the person who owns the means of production, like factories, machines, or technology, gets to benefit from the labor of the workers without having to do any of the work themselves. But according to Marx, these resources are not just theirs. Why? Because we all own our labor. You own your ability to work, think, and create. Therefore, whatever you produce by working on these machines, you have a right to a large portion of the profit. Because the machines are yours as much as they are your employers. So according to Marx, how should our economic system be set up? Well, instead of having a small group of people who own most of the resources and the rest of us working for them, we should have the means of production owned by everyone equally. Under such a system, we would all benefit equally from the work we do, because there would be no one else. Taking a large cut for simply owning the means of production. Why would anyone agree to this, though? Why wouldn't they want to take advantage of the system that we currently have? Now, Marx thought that the answer was quite simple. Everyone would agree to this if they were smart. Think about it this way. Would you rather own a machine that produces 100 units of value every time it's used, but you can only sell 80% of those units and give the other 20 away for free? Or would you rather work on the machine and get paid 80% of the units you produce while someone else owns the machine and gets the other 20 for free? Well, obviously the first option seems better, right? So then why doesn't everyone just buy a machine, take advantage of the labor of others, and get rich while paying them a low wage? Well, according to Marx, it's because they can't. Think about it this way. If everyone who worked for this machine got paid fairly for their work, then there would be no incentive for anyone to work. Who would do the work? Who would build the machines? No one. They wouldn't do it because they would get no benefit from it. There would be no surplus value for them to take advantage of. And if there's no surplus value, then no one will take the risk of starting a business. But Marx also realized that this problem was kind of obvious. People do start businesses and they do take risks. They do invest in machines and new technologies, even though they know that a large portion of the profit will go to the workers. So why do they do it? Well, Marx had an answer for that too. He said that they do it because they want more power, status, and control. And this is where the idea of alienation comes in. See, when you work for yourself, you are completely in control of the process. You decide what you want to produce, how you want to produce it, and for whom. But when you work for someone else, you lose control over these things. Your employer decides what you'll work on. You just have to follow orders. According to Marx, this is why people are so stressed out at work. It's because they have no control over what they do. When we work for ourselves, we experience a sense of fulfillment. But when we work for someone else, we become alienated. We lose control and we become less human. So do you feel alienated at work? Let me know in the comments. Also, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, hit the subscribe button. Till next time.